Is it live?
It should be live. Everything should be good. Let me just make sure that...
Can you hear it?
Yep. You can hear us. Perfect. Alrighty there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the journey, the quest, to review every single episode of The X-Files. We're having a look here this afternoon at Season 4, Episode 1, Herrenvolk. This is
the master race.
The master race. So we're dealing with some interesting eugenic project here from the syndicate or whatever the fuck. Episode starts off, we have the TELUS repair guy, a familiar sight in Western Canada, although out here it's more so you're going to see the Bell repair guy. But it's out in Alberta, the fucking TELUS repair guy goes up to repair a phone line. He gets stung by a bumblebee, which has the black oil virus, which starts fucking raping him. He fucking...
How do you know it's the black oil virus?
Well, that's what
not some other disease.
Because that's just what makes sense.
Well, you don't see it in his eyeballs.
I thought you did, but...
You know, the black oil virus didn't just kill anyone instantly, I don't think. Like, the black oil virus possessed the guy.
Well, that guy didn't die because of the virus. He died because he fucking fell off the fucking thing. But that wasn't just...
Well, then when Mulder comes, he's just all fucked up from whatever stung him.
Killstream Pay was right, this is boring. Abortions are good and Gator is a sweetheart.
Alright, fuck
Talk
you.
About Ralph already fetus.
Well, Killstream Pay is a fucking woman, so her opinion doesn't matter.
Do you know what I mean?
Simple as that.
It's simple fucking as.
Imagine taking the opinions of any woman seriously.
It is what it is there.
You know.
Gentlemen, it is what it is.
So, fucking Buddy falls. Well, Buddy gets stung, and then these 5 fucking blonde kids walk up. They look like they're about 10, and they don't say a word, and they're just identical. They're standing around watching him, and he just falls, and then they're just standing around him, and then they just take off into the fucking field.
And then we cut to the X-Files, and we get, instead of the truth is out there, it's all things will die.
No, it says everything.
Oh, everything.
Everything dies.
Everything dies, or some shit like this. Anyway, we pick up where we left off at the end of last season. Except, sir, if you want to point out, there is a bit of a continuity error.
Yeah, except for it's not the same scene. Like in the season finale of the last one, when the friggin' bounty hunter shows up, Jeremiah Smith says he's here to kill me. But in this one, he never says that. He just takes off running.
Yeah.
So it's different there. But I mean, after a year of waiting for the next episode, you never would have fucking noticed.
But when you go directly from one to the other, you notice it's kind of a bit of a continuity error. Some weird shit there for sure. But whatever, it's not really a big deal. So Jeremiah starts running away. Mulder tells Scully, you can't kill him. Don't use your gun. Like, you know, there's nothing you can do.
She points the gun at him
anyway and just gets fucking murked. So then the chase is fucking on through this like factory or whatever the fuck it is. Eventually Mulder ends up shanking him in the back of the neck with the fucking weapon.
Mulder fucking hides in the wood chips, you know? And Buddy goes up onto the wood chip pile and fucking Mulder rises out of the wood chips and fucking murks him.
Murks him with the fucking thing. And then he starts taking off with Jeremiah on the boat. They're just fucking abandoning Scully. And... you know, Scully goes to check on the fucking the bounty hunter. Surprise! He's not fucking dead.
Yeah, Mulder like must have missed the fucking spot or something.
Or this like type of bounty hunter is immune to that particular attack, and because it doesn't seem like there's really any way to kill this motherfucker. He seems to just be resilient to fucking everything, based on what we've seen in this episode. But anyway, he wakes back up and he fucking grabs Scully and he's like, where are they going? And she's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then Jeremiah and Mulder are on the fucking boat and they're debating, like, Mulder's like, you need to heal my mother. And he's like, well, we got to go to Canada.
No, I'll be killed. We gotta go to Canada so you can get to the bottom of this, you know?
Yeah, and he's totally right, because if they just go to the hospital room, they're setting traps. Like, the next scene after that is the cigarette-smoking man trying to set the fucking trap by spreading, like, fake info that they're gonna kill the mother, right?
Yeah, and seeing, because they find out it's the first elders, the fucking guy.
The names of the first elder.
He has the pictures that X took, and he goes, we need to find out where these came from. So he fucking sets the trap. Mulder's mother's in danger.
Yeah, and then the way the bounty hunter learns about where they're going is he has Scully still captive, and Mulder calls Scully and is like, yeah, we're on the way to Canada.
We're going to Alberta.
We're going to Alberta. And I like that they used Alberta here, because in the real world, I mean, Canada really is like the New World Order's fucking playground, or like their science lab where they experiment. Like, I wonder how multiculturalism will go. Ha 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 ha. Shit like this. So it was good that they set this like secret facility in fucking Canada. So they're driving up to Canada. They end up running out of gas. They go on foot the rest of the fucking way to this like bee farm where there are all these like fucking clones
Of Mulder's sister from the day she was abducted, and the little blonde kid from the fucking start.
Yeah, and Mulder's like, it's my sister, Samantha, do you know me? And Jeremiah's like, no, she doesn't have language, she's a drone. But what's like fucked up is like Mulder can't seem to draw the connection that these are all clones, and like Jeremiah doesn't like outright explain to him like what the fuck is going on.
And I'm thinking at this point too, like why are they cultivating this fucking disease through the fucking bees? Is it when the alien colonization happens, are they gonna use it to wipe everyone out? Or are they creating a disease so they can fucking force people to get some sort of fucking vaccine that will fuck them up in such a way that they'll be easy slaves, and it fucking relates to the coronavirus, it's really good. They fucking invent these diseases so they can give us a vaccine and fuck us up to their own ends.
Yeah, but it seems like whatever the disease the bumblebee is fucking giving people is just outright fucking them up pretty bad.
Well, the fucking bounty hunter comes, and they fucking, right as Buddy's about to tell Mulder what's going on again, the bounty hunter shows up, and they run, and they fucking get to, like, this bee fucking facility.
Yeah.
And Mulder, the guy says to him, Mulder goes, I don't know if it's a good idea to go in there, and the guy says to him, well, because you're not immune to the bees, right? Which is why I think that the disease isn't necessarily to fucking wipe everyone out. It's probably so they can force them to get some sort of vaccination against this disease they've created. So for whatever the fucking ends may be, right? And that's why the guy said, fucking, well, you're not immune. Because they're planning on building that immunity through the fucking vaccine, right? So Mulder fucking covers himself in gasoline, to ward off the bees, and they go in there.
It didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, the pouring of the gasoline on himself. Like, I think it's pretty corrosive to your skin and your eyes. If you just douse yourself in gasoline, I don't think it's a good idea there.
But it's proportionality, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't want to get murked by the bee virus either.
By the bee virus. So they fucking go in, and it's kind of like they're fucking trapped. But they end up turning it around on the bounty hunter. He gets stung to fucking shit.
Well, he comes in, and they're fucking, like, hiding behind, like, one of the fucking, like, beehives. And they just knock it over on him. So he's covered in the honey or the pollen or whatever the fuck, and then the bees just swarm him.
They swarm him.
And they fuck off and get out of there.
They start fucking him up pretty bad, and they get the fuck out of there. In the meantime, Scully's, like, doing this investigation on the Jeremiah Smith guy, and he's fucking... these smallpox vaccine that everybody's been given the vaccine.
She calls X because she finds this fucking database of this password protected fucking like catalog of just these strings of letters and numbers. They all have fucking SEC on them, which she contacts X. And X says Mulder's mother's in trouble because they fucking fed the information through him. And he tells Scully it's the smallpox eradication fucking program. So then, and that also is what made me think, right? Because then she fucking, like, does her biopsy of her smallpox vaccine scar and finds out that everyone's been cataloged. Everyone that has gotten the smallpox vaccine has been cataloged. And that's what this database is. You know, and it's the same thing why they're creating this virus with the bees, right? I think that hints at that they're creating this virus so they can give people a vaccine to immunize them.
Yeah.
But they're, for whatever fucking ends, they're gonna do that to turn the people into slaves to the new fucking alien master race.
Some shit like this. Who fucking knows? I mean, that's probably the gist of what it is, but, you know, it's not quite clear yet what the fuck's going on with these bumblebees, and I think it's the black oil virus, but you might be right, it might be something different. I just think that it would be weird that there'd be two different viruses they introduce on.
No, well, I think the black oil virus, the reason I say that too, my impression of the black oil virus is it's like an alien entity of its own.
It's kind of like
that's why
it's kind of like the Thing where it takes over people's bodies.
Yeah, and that's why it went back into its spaceship at the end of the episode with it, right? Piper Maru.
Yeah. But then, like, Mulder and Jeremiah, basically they get fucked by the bounty hunter. He ends up knocking Mulder out and then going after Jeremiah.
Well, he's calling Scully and says, like, line the hospital with agents. We're coming back to, like, heal my mother, you know, and I'm bringing people get to talk to him. I'm bringing Jeremiah fucking Smith. And then as he's on the phone with her, you just see fucking bounty hunters taking the Tellus fucking guy's work van and just fucking runs it right through the telephone booth and smashes into the car with Jeremiah and fucking Mulder's sister clone.
Yeah, and they get fucking marked. So it's left ambiguous as to whether Jeremiah dies in that scene. But
well, he's hobbling off and the bounty hunter's walking after him, and yeah, it is left ambiguous. Now, the one other thing that you pointed out was when Mulder's in the farm and fucking he sees all his sister clones, like he thinks the first one's his actual sister, you know, and it's another example of like them seeing these things and then like their belief regressing in the next episode back to where it was before, because there's previous episodes with a whole bunch of his adult sister clones, you know, so why wouldn't he think it's the same thing?
You know,
you know, his fucking knowledge level has regressed.
It's just weird, like the continuity.
You see that.
Yeah, the continuity between the episodes and the mythology isn't necessarily the best. You know, like characters' recollections of what the fuck happened just seem to disappear out of their mind. I don't know. Like, it's one thing where in, like, the Monster of the Week episodes where they're, like, one-offs and they don't necessarily connect. So it's like, oh, well, you know, because Scully saw a fucking ghost last week doesn't necessarily mean she's going to believe in the Loch Ness Monster this week. But with this shit, it's, like, the same story, the overarching conspiracy, and yet, like, for whatever reason, their beliefs regress back to baseline every single time. They're never really totally changed from the events that are happening in the episodes. Do you know what I mean? They kind of revert back to being the same. And it's kind of shitty for their development as characters.
Now, in terms of continuity, though, the other one thing about the fucking bees, remember there is the bee in the fucking flower shop with the Nazi scientist?
Yeah. And
so that was good, you know, that they fucking foreshadowed that way back and they built on that now, right?
Yeah, a lot of people say, oh, well, they had no idea where they were going with the mythology when they started. I don't know if that's
that
true.
episode was a while ago.
Yeah, like that was last season, I think.
A third of the way through it.
So I think they do know or have a general idea of what's coming. And when they were when they were working on this episode, they already had the movie planned and written out. So they at least had to the end of season 5 and the movie all planned out. Now after that, who the fuck knows? But I think that it was planned at least through these first 5 seasons, or at least a lot of it was. But I don't know. Yeah. People fucking complain. And then we end up with...
was the next scene in the hospital with all the agents and, oh, Mulder's late. What's going on, Agent Scully? And then Mulder hobbles in. Is that what happens?
Yeah, then that's Mulder hobbles in. And then at the same time, X breaks into, is it Mulder's apartment or some shit like this? Some apartment he breaks into. He ends up getting shot by one of the cigarette smoking man's guys.
Yeah, as he's coming back to the elevator.
He gets shot twice with a silenced pistol, which is a pretty shocking scene. You know, you don't expect X to die.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily like the decision to kill X in this episode because I thought that, you know, he was a pretty good informant, and they literally just replace him with a new informant in the same episode. So it's not even like there's really any consequences for Mulder and Scully for his death, because they just replace him with a new source of info at the UN with this secretary.
Well, no, it's the secretary to the fucking what's the fucking...
The consulate general or something?
No, it's not. It's the secretary general. Like in Canada, that's what we have, right? That's like the secretary general is like our fucking authority from the Queen.
No,
like
the governor general you're talking about. But this this has not...
Okay, then I'm wrong then.
No, this is some United Nation.
The secretary general.
Well, it's part of the United Nations. I'm not
That's who I thought it was. You know, I was thinking that it was like the secretary of the governor general, and that the fucking like reptile elites that Godwinson's part of are actually like leading this conspiracy with the fucking black organizations.
No. It was...
You know, and it's the secretary of the governor general that's going to be the new informant because they're aware of it.
No, it's
where my mind's at.
Yeah, it was the United Nations. Somebody who works for the UN is the new informant. But yeah, I don't know. I thought that character might have had more to do with the show. It's the second time they've done this where they killed Deep Throat, then they bring in X. And I honestly think that they probably just could have kept it as Deep Throat for the fucking full 4 seasons. I don't really see... I mean, X kind of was his own character and did his own thing, but it seems like it's the same functional role.
You know, because they killed him, well, there's different personalities, right? And they interact with Mulder in different ways, which I think, based on the context of the time, like, is fucking good. But, I mean, if they didn't kill off Deep Throat, they wouldn't have... Like, because they did that, they were able to effectively do the scene where Mulder was in space, you know, where he's fucking, like, the Navajos are healing him, he's in space. Yeah. And, like, in the last episode with the interrogation, where the guy morphs into Deep Throat, like, if they didn't kill him off, who would they have used to have that same effect? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, they could have used Mulder's father, but it's...
Well, they did, right?
Yeah, they also did. But
it added to it having fucking a dead Deep
I think
Throat.
that was fine. I think that ultimately, like, they're going to probably kill off this woman character next season and bring in another fucking informant. I would have liked to at least have seen... Okay, X dies. He writes in his blood the SPRG or whatever the fuck. And then they don't figure it out maybe for a few episodes.
But the next scene is...
The next scene is literally...
He's gone to every single secretary fucking general.
But, so yeah, it is what it is. Then we get the final scene of the episode is the bounty hunter like goes to Mulder's mother in the hospital, and the cigarette smoking man explains that you need to heal her because... If Mulder has, you know, nothing left to lose, he'll become way more dangerous and more radical. So we need to control him by healing the mother. But
because he's so important to the plan. And you still, like, it's hard to piece together why Mulder could be so important to the colonization plan.
Also...
Why couldn't they do the colonization without Mulder?
At the same time, you think, I think at least, that the cigarette smoking man... is intervening because he really likes Mulder's mother and he doesn't actually want her to die. And so he's kind of making up this excuse almost that...
Maybe because he's Mulder's actual father.
Yeah, I wouldn't...
He doesn't want Mulder to be killed. Maybe that's the only reason.
I wouldn't be surprised if that ends up being the outcome. But, Surfer, what would you rate Herrenvolk out of 10? What would you say about the episode overall, your final thoughts?
8.6, you know. There was fucking... It built a lot more on the conspiracy than the previous episode did. You know, it was pretty exciting all throughout. You know, it added a lot more to the mythology. Overall, I just really feel it was an 8.6.
What'd you give the last one before this?
8.1.
Yeah. I'm going to give this one the same rating, but I'm going to give it a little higher. Maybe I'll give it a 9.2 instead of a 9. I think it was an improvement over the last episode in terms of, you got more mythology stuff with the bumblebees and the fucking clones, and, it did progress the story with the death of X. That is a big development, but what keeps it from being a 10 is that they, again, fuck it up by bringing in the replacement for X immediately. And, it just didn't hit those same marks that, like, Anasazi hit, or even, Nisi earlier in the season. It just didn't hit the same highs as some of those other episodes. And for that reason, I'm not going to give it a 10. But I think it's a little bit better than the last episode. But I'm not going to give it a 9.5 either. It's like a 9.25. Out of 10. That's what I'd give it overall. I think it was a decent episode, but it also didn't have anything quite as compelling as the dialogue scene in the last episode between the cigarette smoking man and Jeremiah. It was more like action and events are happening. There wasn't quite the same level of really good acting and writing that went into those scenes, but it's still, I think, a little bit of a stronger episode because of all that it brought out with the mythology and developing that. You got anything else?
Yeah, I mean, there is just fucking, like, with everything dies, that's what the fucking bounty hunter said to Mulder. But then at the end, when he meets this fucking Secretary General or whatever the fuck, she first, says to him, no, there is no bees in those fields, nothing. It's all being covered up. And Mulder feels fucking all bricked and let down. And then she hands him the photo with all the clones of his sister and says that not everything dies. So it reignites a bit of faith that fucking... Because you can tell Mulder's really disheartened, and thinks that it's all been covered up, and it's fucking hopeless. But then because of that, it reignites a little bit of faith that not everything does fucking die. Like in the fucking, with the Navajos, when they talk about how the truth fucking won't be fucking burnt. When he's talking about, the fire, that, the truth is like the fucking fire, sort of thing, and they're trying to extinguish it. It has that same idea, sort of, I guess. I don't know.
All right. Well, I think that's it for our review of Herrenvolk. We'll see you next time in our review of Home.
Yeah, juice.
Juice.